Welcome to the rat race, where every day we, the great British public, face long commutes, serious overcrowding. Doesn't sound like much fun, does it? So how about living in a country that offers a lifestyle like no other? A country where the economy is booming, employment is at an all-time high, and the property market is ripe for the picking. Sound too good to be true? Welcome to Australia. Thousands of intrepid British families move here every year in search of sun, surf and opportunity. And I'm going to be telling you exactly where to find all three. I'm back, happily reporting for duty down under. I'm ready to battle with the flourishing Australian property market. I'll be showing 6 sets of new recruits, the very best this great nation has to offer. I'm pulling out all the stops in order to get them the house and the lifestyle they've always dreamed of.
This is just how I imagine living in Australia. It's perfect.
From dishing out some tough love...
What's it going to take for you actually to step across the line?
...to negotiating the ultimate deal. Come on, come on! I'll also meet Brits who are already living the dream and discover the secrets of their success.
I have to say, you've got an office with the best view that I've ever seen.
Because even for some of the most surprising jobs, Australia needs you. Wombat research, anyone?
Well done, you're a pass.
Good, excellent.
So join me for the ultimate guide to upping sticks and moving lock, stock and barrel to the land of the wallaby and the wombat.
Think you know Australia? You ain't seen nothing yet.
There's no denying Australia offers a way of life that's incredibly attractive. I've been coming to this slice of paradise for the last 20 years. I'm even married to an Aussie. Say hello to Fiona. And along with our sons, Jake and Ben, it's our dream to buy a second home here.
That's why I know the market well, and it's this local knowledge and passion for all things Australia that I want to share with 6 British families looking to start a new life.
Tonight, we're in Melbourne, helping a Manchester family who've made the bold move down under.
Oh, this is nice.
Jinx.
I like the window. That's a really nice window, isn't it?
But when it comes to house hunting, Tom and Julie are all over the place.
I'm not totally convinced about the area. It's a bit small. You can see the neighbours and they can see you.
It's not big enough for you, is it?
Bigger.
Yeah. We're actually surrounded on all 3 sides, aren't we?
Not only is indecision a bit of a problem...
What's going through your mind, Julie?
I don't know. I don't know.
What do you think?
I don't know. What do you think?
They're even asking their 5-year-old what they should do.
What do you think we should do, Zeddy? Hang on, I'm asking Zed.
Well, Julie's asking Zed. They've taken to asking the children.
I'll also tell you why heading to Oz could help you move up the career ladder.
Probably spend less time at work and potentially get paid a little bit more money, which is very nice.
And I'll give you the lowdown on the kind of lifestyle you can expect living in one of my favourite cities.
Tuck in.
Oh, it's still warm. It's still warm.
But first, let me introduce you to Melbourne.
It's Australia's fastest growing city. There are more British immigrants in Melbourne than anywhere else. And it's always voted among the most livable cities in the world. I reckon it's something to do with the coffee.
You'll find this great city in the state of Victoria, wrapped around Port Phillip Bay on Australia's southern coast. Currently, it's about 6 times the size of Manchester and home to 4 million people. Now, while it's sometimes overshadowed by Sydney and lost its capital status to Canberra a century ago, for my money, this is the place to be.
What I love about Melbourne is the fact that it's a small city. It's easy to get around, and yet it has big city goings-on. There's test match cricket, there's Formula 1 racing. There's practically a major event every single month.
Arrive in this cultural haven and you'll never want to leave. From the sports stadiums, museums and casino, through to the Royal Botanic Gardens along the Yarra River, there really is something for everyone. And it's a city that's constantly expanding.
I'm stood in a suburb, and yet I'm an hour's drive from the city, which is right over there.
This population boom isn't hard to understand. Though for one family from Manchester, the decision to emigrate seems more by accident than design. Tom and Julie Pickup knew absolutely nothing about Australia when they decided to make the move. Their dream, a better way of life for their kids, Zed and Mila, and the catalyst, the great British weather.
We had one Christmas where it was just raining for the whole sort of week off work that I had, and we sat in our kitchen just thinking, you know, there must be somewhere else we can go where it's a bit nicer than this.
With both Tom and Julie being social workers, they discovered they were eligible for permanent residence in Oz. And even though they'd never even been here, they've decided to make it home.
To be able to do something different with your life and to set it on a different path, I think that's quite interesting.
It's the most impulsive thing they've ever done. But their search for a new house may not be so simple, because when it came to buying their home in Manchester, Julie was struck with chronic indecision.
I remember you carried on looking for houses after we'd bought this house.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure about this house.
And you weren't sure for a couple of years after we moved in.
Yeah, it did annoy me that you stopped looking. You settled on this house and you just, that's it then.
Well, I made my decision and stick with it, so.
2 years? This could be a very long search. Just as well I love a challenge, almost as much as this family is now loving what Australia has to offer. Only a few weeks after arriving, they've got a rental home sorted out, Tom and Julie have both found jobs, and they're making the most of the great outdoors.
Melbourne, Victoria is lovely.
We've been going down the beach, going down the parks. There's just loads to do around here every weekend.
The children haven't sat in front of the telly. They're just out and about doing things, and I think it's just an all-round better quality of life.
Yeah.
But now comes the difficult bit. With their budget of £375,000, I need to find a house Julie will fall in love with now, not 2 years later. Our search begins with a latte at their favourite seaside cafe. How very Melbourne of them.
I can't quite get my head around whether you're stark staring mad or very adventurous and up for a challenge. Did someone have too much wine at dinner and just thought, let's go to Australia?
Well, the first reason is it's for the kids, for sort of quality of life, and the notion that they'll have a better quality of life out here. Next bit, just for the adventure, because we can. And it's, you know, it'd be a nice adventure.
And their first adventure will be hunting for a home. So what is it they actually want?
I like the feeling of space within a house. It's got to have a garden where they can run around, because we've come here for the space. So we don't want to end up feeling confined in our own home.
Space and a garden. Doesn't sound too difficult. Now, what about Tom?
I like the big open plan living areas, but I'd also like a few kind of retreats off from that, somewhere where we can have maybe a cinema room, somewhere I can play my music, somewhere where the kids can play, not necessarily loads.
I wish I hadn't asked the question now. I should have just stuck with Julie's answer.
OK, so they're after space. A big garden, 4 bedrooms, a living area for the kids and another for the adults. Oh, and maybe a home cinema. That's already quite a list for their budget of $600,000 or £375,000.
Phil Spencer, I'm just looking at your details. The one you've described as a little ripper.
But wait, there is more. They're also insisting on being close to the shops and just down the road from the beach.
Tom and Julie have got 2 choices. Either they can up their budget or they can now reconsider what is a rather long list of must-haves. Either way, though, the time to start making decisions is now.
As for area, I'm concentrating the search in Frankston South, a suburb in the Mornington Peninsula about 50 minutes southeast of central Melbourne. Prices have doubled here in the last 10 years, but it's still one of the most affordable places to find a coastal property. And with so many boxes to tick on Tom and Julie's checklist, it's also the area that will give me the most bang for their buck. So here's property number 1. Surrounded by green, check. Beach, just minutes away, check. Good schools, plenty of shopping and work, an easy commute, check, check and check. There's even a swimming pool. Let's just hope Tom and Julie are feeling decisive.
Key reason for choosing this house is that.
Yeah.
100-hectare creek and reserve.
Right.
What are your first thoughts of this part of Frankston?
It's nice and leafy, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's lovely.
Where are the shops?
Oh,
Yeah.
10 minutes walk, 5 minutes walk.
Right, lovely.
this little gem does involve a compromise. It's only got 3 bedrooms instead of the desired 4, and the living area could be bigger. However, the second level has loads of potential, and with the owners looking for offers over $525,000, which is around £329,000, it's a very good price for the area, and it also leaves them plenty of money for remodelling.
After you, round to your left. A fairly, classically, I think, Australian open plan layout.
Yeah.
What's going through your mind, Julie?
It's a bit small if this is the family area.
You have got another downstairs area.
Oh, right.
So you do have the separate living space.
Right.
I know if I was living here, I would open up this end and I'd actually glaze the whole of that
Oh, right, yeah.
to enjoy what you have out here. This is what you'd want to enjoy.
Wow.
Oh, well, this is nice, isn't it? This is lovely.
When we walked in, my first thought was it's a little bit low, a little bit dark.
Small.
But if you could open this end up and sort of bring the outside into that room a bit, it'd be fantastic.
With Tom able to see the possibilities, that's half the battle. But as for Julie, well, let's just say I'm not feeling the love.
I still feel quite enclosed.
Yeah, yeah.
But is it because the furniture's making it feel small? Or is it because they are small?
I think they are small.
But let's not forget there's still £46,000 up our sleeves, and that could make a huge difference here. All it takes is a little imagination.
There you are. So, could be a adult's room, could be a playroom. What do you reckon, Julie? You don't look blown away.
It hasn't grabbed me, the house. I think that, like, when I'm standing out in the back garden, I'm like, wow, this is wonderful. And then I turn around and look back at the house and go, oh, it's a bit small.
It just feels like it's not big enough for us to grow into. If we're here for a few years, especially when the kids get bigger, we'll be falling over each other a bit.
You've got more room within your budget to buy somewhere that's bigger. So let's move on, but we can improve.
Okay.
Right.
Bigger house.
Yeah, yeah.
Come on.
So, outdoor space is an absolute must, but so is the indoor space.
As much as they've loved the position, the setting of the house and all that offers, the practicalities of family life and the amount of space that they actually need in order to live sounds like it's won through. It's a sensible decision. I'm not too worried about it because I think I can do better. Well, I'm going to have to.
Coming up, I meet an expat family who's moved to Oz, has them raking in the dough.
I mean, how much bread are you producing?
Oh, in the region of 3,000 loaves a day.
I'll reveal my pick for the 3 hottest suburbs in Melbourne. And as for Tom and Julie, I'm about to blow one of them away.
I'm quite excited about this house.
Are you?
Yeah.
But Julie's not so sure.
What's going through your mind, Julie?
I don't know.
Over the next few weeks, I'm giving you the ultimate guide to life down under. And tonight, we're in Melbourne. I'm in one of my favourite parts of the world, searching out a home for a recently emigrated family from Manchester. And would you believe it, we've ended up by the sea. It's here that Tom and Julie Pickup want to enjoy the very best of what Australia has to offer. Though with everything from the beach to a home cinema on their wish list, this could be a pretty tricky search. But as well as helping families like the Pickups, in this series I'm going to be getting a glimpse of what it's like to put down roots here by meeting Brits who are already living it large in Oz and asking them what are the secrets of their success. People like Tez, Anna and their 3 gorgeous girls, a young family who really are living the great Aussie dream. This story starts in London, where Tez, who's English, met Anna, who's an Aussie, when they worked for the same company in sports marketing. Eventually, they became a couple and 5 years ago moved to Oz with some pretty big dreams.
Anna had fallen pregnant with Mia, so at that point it was like, you know, where are we going to live? We knew that we didn't want to bring up a family in London.
They also wanted to work for themselves, and so, despite having no experience in the business of bread, they bought a small bakery.
Food was something we'd always been passionate about, and we never look back. It's been a hard slog, but it's just been fantastic.
So I'm here to sample the product and find out how this family achieved a lifestyle they never even dreamed possible in London.
I'm looking for Tez.
You must be Phil.
I am.
Hi, how are you?
Very nice to meet you.
You too.
How are you doing?
Good, good.
So this is the shop.
Marjorie.
Goodness
Welcome.
me. It's a bit of activity.
Yeah, it's busy. It's a busy shop.
24 hours a day.
Pretty much, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So it's
wow.
busy.
Using their marketing expertise, Tez and Anna worked hard to turn a small bakery into a brand. In the process, they've increased their staff from 8 to 26 people, and their annual turnover has just topped £1 million. Don't hate me, but that's an awful lot of dough.
Why do you think the Melbourne restaurants are liking what you do so much?
They're really food savvy. They appreciate good quality food. They appreciate food that's made by hand. And that's what we do here.
So this is how bread should be made.
This is how it should be made. And this was how it was made hundreds of years ago. And we're just trying to recreate that tradition.
When they first bought the bakery, Tez and Anna worked up to 7 days a week. But now, with business booming, Anna's able to work part-time and Tez is far more flexible with his hours, giving them both the family lifestyle they always wanted.
Big house.
Big family.
Oh, right, OK.
3 kids.
Even better, it's just a few minutes down the road from the bakery. So in other words, no 60-minute commute like the one Tez used to have in London.
You hungry?
You read me like a book. I love bread, especially when it's made by hand like this.
Tuck in.
Yeah. Oh, it's still warm. It's still warm.
Crunchy.
Oh, wow. That is proper stuff. You've been here 5 years?
5.5 in Australia, yeah.
I like to think I know Australia pretty well, and I've been here a dozen or more times. But what are the best bits for you? Why does it work for people to come over here?
Opportunity, the space for the kids to enjoy, the outdoor life. That's great. You know, that wouldn't have been possible in the UK for us. We've got access to great local food producers. You don't just go to a one-stop shop in the supermarket.
Yeah.
You go to the local fruit and veg store. You go to the fishmonger.
It seems there's lots of them, and the local people support them all.
It's this love of good food which not only makes Melbourne a great place to live, it's also what's made Tez and Anna's business thrive. Without a doubt, Tez has made a great life for himself and his family, but I have to ask...
Is this home completely?
Australia is home forever.
Fair enough too. After all, Tez's 3 girls, Mia, Lexi and Evie, are all Australian born and bred.
Hello, Phil.
Hello. Well, fantastic meeting them all. They've set up a great business. It's very successful. They work extremely hard. But the benefits are they live in a beautiful place, lovely family, work hard, play hard. That's the Aussie dream.
If you're looking to open a business in Australia that will ultimately create jobs, your visa application will be looked upon far more favourably. Over the last year alone, this has enabled almost 600 Brits to start a new life down under. For more information and inspiration, log on to our website at channel4.com/4homes. For the Pickup family, their search for the Aussie dream could take some time. After all, even a swimming pool failed to wow them. But just 10 minutes round the corner, we have property number 2, where I've exchanged space in the garden for more space inside. And out goes the pool.
Come on in.
Oh, wow. Look at the...
Now, space was the request. We've got a bit more of it here.
It feels spacier, if that's a word.
I'm not sure it is, but we'll let it pass. More spacious.
More spacious.
The interior's definitely in need of a makeover, though with a bit of vision, this could be transformed. And look at the space you've got. Formal living, formal dining, informal dining, and 4 double bedrooms. The other good news is that it backs onto the same nature reserve as house number 1, and the beach is just 10 minutes away. Please, no applause necessary. The only catch is there's slightly less land. But Tom and Julie say they want more space inside the house, so this is it. And at offers over $590,000, £369,000, it's still £6 grand under their maximum budget.
I know you want adult space and child space, but you could, for instance, block this up, make it separate, Or you could open it up.
Right. I'd have to open it up.
That's a morning's work to take that down.
There is a lot of space. I'm just thinking about how we can utilise it.
Yeah.
I think it's really exciting. I mean, yeah.
Do you like it?
Yeah.
The kitchen again, there's plenty of space here.
There is. You've got all that you need, haven't you?
Light
Wow.
comes on. Light goes off.
Oh my
Light
God.
comes on.
That's it, yeah.
I'm not normally one to blow my own trumpet, but this house really does have everything on their rather long wish list. So, can they see the potential?
Oh, this is nice.
Jinx.
I like the window. That's a really
beautiful.
nice window, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's nice the house is set back because then your neighbours can't look in.
Happy voices, space is what they wanted. Space is what they get here.
I'm quite excited about this house.
Are you?
Yeah.
Is excited enough to buy it and want to live in it?
It ticks most of our boxes, I think.
Really?
All sounding positive, but it's Tom doing most of the talking, and he's the easy one to please.
How are you getting on?
Good.
Great.
You're really excited, aren't you?
I am. I just think it's gorgeous out there. You can look right out onto the trees. A nice big back garden. Really exciting.
How about you, Julie?
I don't know. I think there's something holding me back, but I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm just looking for an excuse. I don't know.
Looking for an excuse to what?
I don't know. I don't know.
Is she always like this?
I'm very
But muddled.
cautious, aren't I? Muddled.
OK, Tom seems up for it, but Julie's not so sure. Maybe she's struggling to see the potential. Either way, we need to move on.
As a family, you should be in a position where you can make a confident decision that one thing is right and one thing is wrong. If we come away from what I'd like to show you, with you saying, no, I've seen it and I'm happy with what you've shown me in Frankston, I think it would help.
It would.
It would. Come on then, off to you.
In other words, Julie, can you please just be a little more decisive? Next stop, a house that doesn't require a leap of imagination. It's already got the wow factor and plenty of space. But to keep within their budget of £375,000, we've had to move our search away from the beach and into the hills. Yep, we're going to the bush. Otherwise known as Tacoma, a small village in the Dandenong Ranges, about 40 minutes drive out of central Melbourne. And yes, OK, it does rain here sometimes, but then it's virtually a rainforest.
It's very rural, but it's not secluded, because you can see houses dotted around here.
Yeah.
It's just that you are surrounded by these lovely trees. I love the bird song from up here.
How noisy do they get in the morning?
I think it would be like a concert.
Oh, lovely.
People say in the UK they tweet and here they squawk.
Yeah. I'm not totally convinced about the area. But if the house can wow me, then I suppose you grow into an area, don't you?
Obviously, Julie isn't thrilled by the idea of an Aussie-style dawn chorus, but to get this much space moving into the ranges is a compromise that could make a lot of sense. We've got 2 separate living areas, a modern, spacious kitchen, and 4 good-sized bedrooms, all for offers over $530,000. It's a great deal, and it's also $60,000 less than the last property. But is it enough to impress Julie?
It's a very typical Australian house layout. Master bedroom at that end, kids' room, playroom at that end, living space all in the middle.
Nice big kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the size of the kitchen.
Yeah.
This is beautiful. And I think you could quite easily get used to living with such nice views.
We're witnessing a victory here. Julie sounds positively decisive.
It flows quite nicely, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's a nice, warm and welcoming house. When you come through, there's a proper hallway type area.
So Julie's got the space she was after. But as we make our way through the house, this time it's Tom who's a bit quiet.
The house itself is it's very nicely presented, but it's not really caught my attention. Walking in, I wanted a kind of big space to kind of live in, then with kind of rooms off either side.
Isn't that what we've got?
It is.
It's not big enough for you,
Once
is
it's
it?
bigger.
Yeah, the size of the central living space, because it's kind of divided up into like the hallway, then the kitchen, the dining room, and I guess I was wanting something a bit more open.
Do you want to see some more?
I'd like to see the rest of it, definitely, yeah.
While this might not be the house Tom and Julie end up buying, it does force a decision. Tom's realised he wants open plan living, and while they both want more space, they've decided it must be near the coast, not near the mountains. Trust me, I am getting somewhere. Whatever they spend their money on has to be right. Actually bringing them up here, I think, has been very useful because it's given the search more focus and more direction, and that's what we need. Have you seen enough?
Yes.
I think so.
Has it been helpful? Been useful?
I think it's reconfirmed to me that I don't think I want to live in the ranges, beautiful as they are.
I've not got a really good feeling about this house.
You haven't?
No, I really like the second house that we looked at.
Yeah.
That's my front runner at this point in time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we've got more to see,
Okay.
but that's terrific. He's smiling.
Yeah.
Happy house hunters. Or happy house hunter. I've got a bit of work to do over there. Coming up for my next trick, a shed load of interior space and not a parrot in sight. But is it enough to please Julie?
I'm not quite comfortable or happy being on an estate.
The neighbours are just there, though, aren't they? They're just there. Because I do feel quite enclosed.
I'm also taking a look at some hot houses in central Melbourne, and it's time to meet the natives.
This is a little ringtail possum.
As I discover how a move to Oz could supercharge your career.
I probably spend less time at work and potentially get paid a little bit more money, which is very nice.
Over the next few weeks, I'm helping 6 families make the move to Oz and find the house of their dreams.
So I feel quite sort of fluttery.
Although for tonight's couple, Tom and Julie Pickup, it's proving to be a pretty tricky search. It's not that these two disagree. They kind of know what they want. It's just they're a bit vague. They're clearer about what they don't want. Anyway, I'm feeling up for a challenge. It's always easier in the sunshine. Ironically, their decision to emigrate in the first place was very much off the cuff. And being social workers, their skills are in great demand, appearing on both state and national visa eligibility lists. Over the next few weeks, I'll be exploring some of Australia's other in-demand professions and finding out how a move across the world could supercharge your career. Just as it did for vet Richard Woolley. A Sheffield boy at heart, Richard trained for 9 years before qualifying as a specialist vet cardiologist and making the life-changing move to Melbourne.
It's actually all my wife's fault. Shortly after I met her, she was actually planning to come out here to work, and so she persuaded me to come out as well, and also persuaded 11 members of her family to follow too.
So today I've come to meet Richard and find out why his professional life is so much better over here. Hello, my name's Phil. I'm here to meet one of your vets.
Richard!
Aussies, they're so formal, aren't they? Richard.
Hi, how you doing? I'm Richard.
Very nice to meet you. There's
Nice
a
to meet
familiar
you.
accent there.
Thank you very much. So if you want to come through, I'll show you some of the patients that we've got in today.
Now, while there aren't any kangaroos or koalas in the ER, there is one native I'm keen to meet.
This is a little ringtail possum.
And how old is this little possum?
He'll be pretty young, so he's probably not long out of his mum's pouch. He's a pretty small little guy. Got a large number of these guys and the brushtail possums brought in, so I knew nothing about possums before I came to Australia.
Despite the patients being a little different down under, UK vets aren't required to retrain to work here. And even better, this in-demand profession means vets can have visas approved in just 12 months. As for Richard, he's on to his next patient. Meet Tex, who just a few days ago underwent heart surgery.
Good.
What sort of dog is he?
So he's a curly coat retriever.
He's handsome.
He's a lovely fella. Come on, through we come.
Today, Richard's doing an ultrasound to see if the operation's been a success, and Tex's owner Liz is here for moral support. My sister actually has 2 vet practices back in the UK, so I kind of know a little bit about what goes on in a practice.
There you go. Before we get you to do the ultrasound then. Hey, thanks.
Not that much. Richard, how does the job compare to what you would be doing if you were doing this job back in the UK?
They sometimes ask you to do strange things, like go up and ultrasound snake's heart. So the last thing that I ultrasounded was a black-headed python, I think. And so that often adds a bit of interest and variation.
In Britain, the average vet earns £39,000 a year. But here in Oz, they get paid an impressive £60,000.
I'm I'm really lucky over here. I probably spend less time at work and potentially get paid a little bit more money, which is very nice.
I think I should have asked for a bigger discount.
And if you think that's appealing, bear in mind that specialists like Richard often work a 4-day week. Do you ever think back to the UK and if you hadn't have moved, what your life might be like?
Probably live in a smaller house and have paid more for it. Nowhere near a beach or a major metropolitan centre, okay. and certainly not near a winery. Okay.
I shouldn't have asked, should I?
So no.
All in all, it's been a success.
All in all, it's been a fantastic move, and I've really enjoyed it.
Other medical professionals can also benefit from a move down under. Doctors can go from an average salary of $85,000 up to $112,000. And registered nurses can expect a 50% pay rise, taking their annual income from a healthy 29 grand up to 44. By the way, nursing is also one of the top 5 professions to receive Aussie visas in the skilled migration programme. And while an approval isn't guaranteed, the other top 4 spots go to computing professionals, accountants, electricians and bricklayers. If you'd like to know more about working in Australia and the visa system, log on to our website at channel4.com/4homes. So far, in my hunt to find Tom and Julie their ideal family home, they've rejected 3 houses in a row, and Julie's been a tad indecisive.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
But through a process of elimination, I've discovered they want the beach nearby, the hills far away, no parrots, decor that doesn't require work, and above all else, space inside and out. And all for 375,000 quid. Well, putting all that together, I think I might just have the house for them. Which brings us to Mount Martha, a coastal town just a short drive from Frankston South. But to get everything on that long wish list, I have had to add in a few neighbours to the mix. These streets are full of other young families. Tom and Julie haven't actually talked about social networks and community and that sort of thing. But I reckon for a successful move to the other side of the world, that's going to be very important. And living somewhere like this is going to be that much easier as well. Neighbours. As the song goes, everybody needs good ones. At property number 4, we have the beach just a few minutes away. Check. We have green open space. Check. And the house is gigantic. Although before we can even walk up the driveway, I'm already seeing that look on Julie's face. Don't look convinced at all.
I'm not. I'm not quite comfortable or happy being on an estate, but we'll see.
What would you have to see in order to make it work?
I think it's the whole feel of an estate, really. It just feels quite clean and sterile and...
While it's tempting to run in the opposite direction, instead I'm going to persevere. Because frankly, I think this house is perfect for Tom and Julie. Did I mention how much space there is?
Come on in and check this out. Master bedroom and ensuite is there. We've got a living room, games room, massive open plan kitchen, and yet another playroom, rumpus room. Almost don't know what you do with it all.
It delivers on space. It's massive.
There is.
Yeah.
It's on the market for offers over $640,000. That's £400,000, which is $40,000 over what Tom and Julie had wanted to spend. Although if they want this much space, they're going to have to start stretching the budget.
The garden wraps all the way around the house. It's virtually another room.
It is very, very nice. And you could see yourself using this a lot.
The neighbours are just there, though, aren't they? They're just there.
I guess the other houses that we've looked at, you've certainly got the feeling of being more secluded. You've got a far bigger plot here.
I don't think I'm willing to trade off the location for the space, because I do feel quite enclosed.
So Julie isn't keen on being on an estate, but on their budget, they're going to have to compromise somewhere.
Think long term and how much space you're going to need in 5 years' time.
But as our eager house hunters take a closer look, Julie can't quite get the neighbours out of her mind.
Look, you can see the neighbours and they can see you.
Yeah. And that's nice out there, because it's like a tropical garden almost, isn't it?
Yeah, you just know that the neighbour's on the other side. Myla would love this room, wouldn't she? But then look, you can see the neighbours again. We're actually surrounded on all three sides, aren't we? Not just the two.
Well, at least this house has helped them make another decision. They want space, but not at all costs.
Can you deal with the estate? Is the house worth it or not?
No. No. I think Mount Martha's beautiful, but I wouldn't live on an estate.
What I really loved about the houses that we saw in Frankston South was the kind of the aspect and the views that you had from them, and the kind of bushiness, and there's kind of none of that here. There's a few trees dotted about, but it just feels very kind of suburban.
Well, it sounds as though we should head back to Frankston South then, and go and see if the space that we've seen there is doable. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
We better find out then.
Okay.
Come on.
If, like Tom and Julie, you quite fancy a new life in Melbourne, then here's my pick of some of the best places to live. If money's no object, then why not head east to Toorak? Here you'll find plenty of old houses and old money, thanks to a boom in the 1880s which saw the building of many a mansion. And today it's still Melbourne's most expensive suburb. Go west, and you'll find the best value for money in Baybrook, with the average family home costing you £250,000. Though for me, I love the Victorian terraces in the inner city, which brings us to Fitzroy. This was Melbourne's very first suburb, and in the 1860s was populated by factory workers. Today it's slowly being gentrified, and being a heritage zone, you're required to keep the facades as is. But out the back, the sky's the limit. As for the residents, they're now mostly a professional crowd, with a staggering 63% of them being under 40, and they're extremely keen on shed loads of space and open plan living. So when you take a peek behind Victorian exteriors such as this, you're likely to find a two-storey extension, an interesting mix of old meets new, and a design ethos that, like Melbourne itself, delivers the very best of what modern living has to offer. As for Tom and Julie, and via a process of elimination, we're back at House 2, which I think is a very good place to be, but will they feel the same? What's not to like? For offers over $590,000 or 369,000 quid, we've got a nature reserve, we've got the beach, we've got 4 bedrooms and plenty of open plan living, the right furniture and a coat of paint, and Bob's your auntie's live-in lover. But what do Tom and Julie think? They've got the measuring tape out.
I just wonder if you could open it all up so it's all like a kitchen dining area.
The whole thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a good footprint of a house. It's in a good spot. It's a good size. It's a good budget. But it needs a bit of life breathing into it. It needs a young family to come in and bring it up to date.
I think that's what I'm excited about with this house. You don't, you walk in and it's lovely, but I'm just thinking that you could walk in here with a few changes and it would really knock you back.
Clearly, Tom loves it and can see all of the huge potential here. But the question is, will Julie finally come to the party now that she knows what else is out there?
There's lots of potential in the house. I mean, I would have to totally gut it and start from scratch, and I would modernise the whole interior.
I think you'd want to do that wherever we went. I think you'd want to put your own kind of stamp on it.
What's worrying you? You don't look as though you're someone who's just seen a house that they love. He does. But you don't. And you need to.
I think the size of the bedroom and the size of the house is what's worrying me.
I do really like it. We've got the countryside, we've got the bush here. We're close to the beach as well. So I think it's got a lot of the things that we came to Australia for.
Well, how do you want to do it for now? Take time. It's a big decision.
I think it'd be good to go away and have a bit more of a think about it.
For me, it's just making the decision. This house probably ticks all of the boxes, but it's just me saying, yeah.
She's like this when we buy a vacuum cleaner.
Really?
Yeah.
God. What's she like when you got married?
Wow.
Oh, well, that's another story.
How long have you got?
Based on her previous track record, Julie can take up to 2 years to decide whether or not she likes a house. Though in this instance, she and Tom have really surprised me by making a decision in just 24 hours.
Just wondering how your thoughts developed overnight.
The news is great. They want the house and have decided to make an offer. But they're drawing a line in the sand when it comes to price.
Their maximum offer, they said, is 600. And from my introductory conversations with the agent, his absolute bottom line is 630, and he was really holding out for 650. He's not in a hurry. He's downsizing. He doesn't need to sell. And it rather makes me think that we're not actually going to be able to do this deal, which would be extremely frustrating for Tom and Julie. It's frustrating for me, having actually found the right house, to not do the deal, but let me try. We'll see. For Tom, Julie and the kids, this phone call could make all the difference to their new life here in Melbourne. So, not much pressure then. Coming up, for me, it's high-stakes negotiation, but Julie's asking her 5-year-old son to make the decisions.
I'm asking Zed.
Oh, Julie's asking Zed.
Taken to asking the children. And what happens next, none of us saw coming. Come on, come on! Tom and Julie Pickup emigrated to Melbourne, Australia, almost on a whim. But getting them to make a decision on where to live has been hard work. After much angst, they've made an offer of $600,000. That's their total budget of £375,000 on this 4-bedroom house in Frankston South. But there's a major hurdle. The vendor's looking for at least $630. Feeling a bit of pressure to pull this off.
Hello? Oh, hi, Phil.
There's been quite a bit of toing and froing. I have just heard from her that the vendor would take $615.
We're going to really struggle to go any more than 600, I think.
If you could put any more in the pot, it keeps everyone thinking.
What do you think?
I don't know, what do you think?
I really need these two to make a decision, and quickly. How are you getting on?
We found it difficult to come to terms with putting in 600, especially Julie. And like now the prospect of offering even more, it's just quite painful, really.
Put in 602 and a half. Just as a sign of good faith.
What do you think we should do, Zeddy? Hang on, I'm asking Zed.
Julie's asking Zed.
Shall we stay at 600 or shall we go to 602 and a half?
They've taken to asking the children. The children are deciding this.
I want them to stay 600.
Really?
Let's go with your suggestion at 602 and a half.
And that's got Zed's approval, has it?
No.
OK, leave it with me. I'll come straight back to you.
OK, well, thanks very much.
We're still alive and kicking. 602 and a half is the bid. 2 phone calls later, and much to my amazement, the vendor accepts their bid, almost $28,000 less than he wanted. Really? 120 days? What's that, 3 months? But he's now insisting on a long settlement period, 120 days before the property can actually change hands. It's a big ask, but Tom and Julie would be mad to look a gift horse in the mouth. Tom, it's Phil again.
Hi, Phil.
If you could wait until the 2nd week in March, so 120 days from now, he would accept the 602 and a half.
That's going to be difficult, isn't it?
Julie's insisting on settling before Zed starts primary school in 2 months' time, so I'm calling the agent back yet again. If it was 90 days, they'd say yes right away. In order to agree to the 120 days, they need to speak to the nursery and the school because they're not sure on what the policy is. All I can do now is wait. Thanks. Bye. Come on, come on, come on. I think we might be onto something. A restless sleep later, we've got our answer.
Hi, Tom, it's Phil.
Oh, hi, Phil.
I have just heard from the agent. Good news that they would do 90 days at the 602 and a half.
Oh, lovely. OK, that's good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Have we got a deal?
Yeah.
I think we've got a deal, haven't we?
We have.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, congratulations, all of you. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're really chuffed, and thanks a lot for all your help.
Speak to you soon. See you.
Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Fantastic. That is a very, very happy and relieved family. Pull it off. 602 and a half. That's a good deal.
You know why we're opening this, Milo? is we just bought a house. Congratulations.
That's it now, we're tied to Australia. Forever.
But a few days later, Tom and Julie drop a bombshell.
I was still a bit concerned that the house wasn't, the bedrooms particularly weren't big enough.
So we thought about it for a couple of days, and I think that uncertainty kind of grew.
It
We actually
did.
ended up pulling out of the sale.
And guess what? It's all because of yours truly.
The houses that Phil showed us, it really showed us what sort of house was out there, especially the last house that we saw, the really large house in Mount Martha. That made us kind of rethink things a little bit and think, right, could we go bigger?
But don't worry, I'm not too upset. After all, with a budget of £375,000, this search was always going to be a juggling act between space and location. But finally, Tom and Julie have made a decision. They've reworked their finances and want to add a whopping $100,000. That's £65,000 onto the budget.
We've looked at ways of borrowing more money. We're going to try and put a little bit more into it as well. So we've basically been able to stretch our budget doing that. We just thought we'll stretch now and put more income into it, stretch a bit bigger, get a bigger property, because we want somewhere where we can grow into.
In other words, it's an entirely new search with a far bigger budget. I'm quite sure they'll get the space they're after, but for now, all I can do is wish Tom and Julie the very best of luck. Next week, I'm in Adelaide with a couple who can't agree on city versus beach.
I could live here.
She doesn't look as though she's got... I'll meet the British family who made the move down under en masse.
Welcome to our barbecue, Phil.
All 23 of them. And I'm in the great Aussie outback. Believe it or not, chasing wombats.
Well, the clock is ticking and Frank has got to escape a mental institution and get married. Busy night in Shameless, 10 o'clock tonight. Well, up next, who's brave enough to take on a Heston, a Blumenthal, a fishy feast? Oh, Jonathan Ross, by all accounts.